So, what have I ranked so far in Plant vs Zombies 2? The plants, the Neon Mixtape Tour jams, the Zomboss battles, the Gargantua battles, the dinosaurs, so now, let's rank the worlds. This is not based on world difficulty, rather it's based on personal preference, how much I enjoy playing worlds with considerations being the world design, music, zombies you fight, plants obtained, and world gimmicks and unique traits. Although quick note, I've replayed the first 4 chronological worlds a lot more than the others, because I started not playing the game as much around the release of the 5th world, and even less since the 6th one. Anyway, I'm GoldNinja Vlogspot, let's start. Bottom spot goes to Big Wave Beach. This ranking is pretty predictable because of how difficult and downright insufferable the world is to play. It's far too difficult and is just straight up not fun. The gimmick is alright, and it's nice to see them actually bring back a zombie from the first game, which never happened at the time of this world's release. But some of the zombies are just overpowered, with the octopus zombie being the prime suspect, given it can sometimes be impossible to take out the octopi if you don't have the right setup. Also, the world's unwritten rule is that as soon as a new zombie is introduced, it's going to appear in virtually every level from that point forwards, just to rub salt into the wound. The plants and locks are pretty mid too. Well, banana launcher's cool. The redeeming qualities are that the Brainbuster is one of the best, because the return of Walnut Bowling is always welcome, and the music kind of slaps, but overall it's easy to see why this world is hated. Into the top 10, wow that didn't take long, is Jurassic Marsh. Look, I get that the dinosaurs basically replace world exclusive zombies, given there's only really the Jurassic Bully since Rock Puncher is just the expansion counterpart, and Fossil Head is basically a reskinned Blockhead. But honestly, the lack of new zombies make the world pretty boring. The levels are also very repetitive and mundane, and the dinosaurs are just plain irritating. Some are pretty easy to counter like T-Rex and Stegosaurus, but they just make levels horribly annoying to play, and it's a shame they didn't have some cool dinosaur zombie variants to go up against. Also, I really don't like the fact that there can be more than 3 types of dinosaurs in a level, yet it can only show a maximum of 3 in the selection screen. Also, Pterodactyl being the most annoying bugger in the game. Thank God Hurricane was able to clutch me, or I wouldn't have made it past this world. The saving grace of the world is that it probably has the most disgusting plants to be obtained, plus the showcase of Coal Snapdragon and the freaking grape shot. But overall, this world feels pretty rushed, and as the second last world released, it's a relief that the last one was a big improvement. 9th spot is Dark Ages. We've gone through the 2 worlds I actively dislike, so all of them from this point forward are at least decent. Dark Ages is a funny one for me because I don't think it's anywhere near as hard as I thought it was when I first played it. Although a big reason for that was because I hadn't yet played PvZ1, so the night system was completely alien to me. However, I'd only say there's a few hard levels, such as the Zomboss battle, the one where you have to produce sun using only Gravy Bee and the piece of yellow crap nobody likes, and the Brainbusters, which honestly is a pretty bad one, never like the potion levels. Outside of difficulty, the world is fine. It's got a good theme, and although they brought back a gimmick from the previous world, they did adapt it, and it actually made the Gravebuster become a useful plant. However, the zombies were horribly annoying, given both wizards and jesters exist, and the world's short length leaves a bit more to be desired. Also, while the music is fine, I'm kind of sick of hearing it, although that's mostly from playing Arena. Overall, a very mid-tier world, with few major highs or lows. Number 8 is Ancient Egypt. This is not a world I have a lot of criticism for, but I just have no real incentive to play it anymore. Obviously it's the easiest world, given it the first, but this world has been simplified so much in the past 2 to 3 years, it basically feels like a tutorial world, even though there's already a tutorial, and most of the changes are pretty unwelcome in my opinion, such as moving the cabbage pole to a player's house plant, even though the whole purpose is to provide accountable graves, Ancient Egypt's gimmick, and the first locked and loaded level being changed so you get Gravebuster instead of Twin Sunflower. That makes no sense to me because there's no Tomb Raiders, so once you clear out the graves, that's a wrap. Also, they butchered the second locked and loaded level completely. How do you go from this to this? I get it, they want to make the levels easier for new players, but the world wasn't hard to begin with, and they may feel the difficulty spike more when they get to Pirate Seas, which has been largely untouched. But anyway, enough about the changes, because the world is still quite decent, with some fun zombies, great unlockable plants, and a boss stage that's harder than expected. While veterans like myself have no real reason to play the world anymore, it's a solid world to kickstart the player's journey through Plants vs Zombies 2. Number 7 is Lost City. In terms of design and theme, this world is probably one of the best. Hey, GoldNinja Vlogspot, it's in the name, and as for world gimmicks, it's definitely up there. It's also got a reasonable difficulty. Where it loses points is that I find a lot of the levels are very samey. There's way too many locked and loaded levels, which basically just rinse and repeat the same plants over and over again. And it seems like a lot of the levels are built around the alliance of Parasol and Excavator zombies, so the metagame is basically Aki and Red Stinger spam. That's what the game wants you to believe anyway, but if that's not the case because of the guy known as Laserbeam. Also, I do not like the trap tile levels at all. They just feel completely out of place, and if they're going to commit to them, at least give us the rest of the elements. You've got fire and earth, where's the water and air tiles at? They could have done so much more with them, but nope, just these two, and they make the boss unfun to play. Regardless, the world is pretty enjoyable for the most part, with some solid unlockable plants and some interesting zombies, especially those who are essentially upgrades of previous zombies, such as relic hunters and turquoise skulls. Although another thing, it's ridiculous you can't use a gold leaf in other worlds, unlike the tile turnip. Overall, a great design and good difficulty level, but not that memorable. Next up is Neon Mixtape Tour. I get a feeling a lot of you are going to be shocked this isn't any higher, given I'm a musician myself, and if you've ever seen any of my videos, you know that music is basically my life. Well, you've got more chance of coming around my house and throwing out all my Muse CDs. The plant that was even more disappointing than the latest Green Day album. And yes, in terms of aesthetics, lawn design, colour scheme, etc, it's definitely among the best, and is almost undisputedly the king in the BGM department. Also, they actually call the two world release parts Side A and Side B in reference to records. How is that not the sickest touch ever? So why this slap bang in the middle of the list? Mostly because of the levels themselves. First of all, the world is one of the worst offenders for tossing a whole pack of zombies in your face at the start of a level before you can even set a defence up. Also, the plants unlocked in this world are pretty lousy as a whole, and what's ridiculous is that half of them are awful against instant killing zombies, which makes for the overwhelming majority of the ones you face in this world. Seriously, I wouldn't take any of these zombies out of this game, but is it really necessary to have this many instant killing or otherwise non-eating zombies in this world? Are you literally trying to tell us that garlic is useless? Oh, and I would take one zombie out of this world, the hair metal gargantua, especially because they spawn in so early in the greatest hits endless zone that it practically makes the levels unplayable. And overall, this is a rage-inducing and fast-paced world helped out big time by having the coolest theme of them all. Number 5 is Modern Day. You may wonder why this is so high, given I've whinged on about many other worlds being too difficult, but honestly this world is a lot easier than Big Wave Beach, and the whole concept of bringing the time back to the present is just what I wanted out of the Final Adventure world. Also, it was a fun gimmick to see the return of zombies from previous world, and the 3 new ones that were basically roided up versions of zombies from the original game. The portal gimmick is also neat, although that leads to possibly my biggest criticism of this world. You don't know what zombies you get in the portal until playing, so if you're lacking a specific counter, i.e. a penetrative plant for just a zombie, you're up Turd Creek without a paddle. Although it does help there's no last stand levels in this world. Also, this one sounds kind of petty, but I've never liked the shadow plants as a whole, which seems fine as you can just ignore them and use regular sunflowers. They often force you to use them, and that basically entices you to use a moonflower, as most of them suck without being powered. Also, no perfume shroom even in levels with dinosaurs. However, the pros massively outweigh the cons in this world, and its brainbuster is awesome. Begul was already a great game in the original, but they made it even better here. I also have to give a shout out to a few other levels, including the one where you have to revive all the plants with intensive care, which I thought was genius regardless of the PvZ community's opinion on that plant, and the Zomboss fight system is also buckets of fun. Although the gimmick of using the next world's plants does make some of them ludicrously tricky. Regardless, a great final send-off for adventure mode. 4th place is Far Future. This is, ironically, one of them where nostalgia does factor in a bit, but even as someone who was happy to replay the first 3 worlds over and over again, when Far Future dropped, I was even more excited than I was for the new Red Hot Chili Peppers album. I was happier than a pig in mud, happier than a Brit on a sunny day, happier than a goth girl in a haunted manor, happier than a blooming heart when she's getting eaten by a zombie, so on, so forth. And the wait sure paid off because it's a great world. The design is great, the power tiles are fun, the brainbuster was thrilling, and for those who don't like change, like myself, the world overall was still similar to the previous worlds, so I was in familiar territory. The levels are nice too, and for me it was cool as hell to see a special delivery level, because at the time those never happened. Only real downers of the world are that a lot of the zombies are pretty samey. Was it really necessary to have 3 very similar zombies with insane toughness? Also, the plants were a bit of a mixed bag. There's 3 I use all the time, 2 I never use, 1 that's basically a Tesco coconut cannon, and 1 that I only use for its plant food effect. That being said, if the last world was 7 unlockable plants, after that they could barely be asked to have more than 5. And if the last where you get an upgrade, although you probably forgot the Mo launch even existed until I said it right then. Far Future isn't quite a top 3 world in my opinion, but it's a very close 4th. The third best world goes to Wild West. The second of the 3 classic worlds to appear on this list is the first in which the world gimmick isn't necessarily a hindrance. In fact, minecarts are great for pricey plants, among others, and a great strategy to utilise. The zombies are quite fun and suit the theme incredibly well, despite quite a lot of them requiring a very particular kind of plant, and I think it has the best music outside of Neon Mixtape Tour. The OK Corral Brainbuster is also enjoyable, and the plants unlocked are quite useful even if I don't use many of them besides the Pulse and the Fartanaut Bean. Biggest issues of the worlds are, first of all, the 3 worst objectives being present, with a don't lose plants one sitting there in its infamy, but to be fair that's probably just me struggling because I can't use that chili bean. Also, a couple of levels are pretty unfair. Although I praise the Brainbuster, the third one is entirely dictated by whether you get a coconut cannon in the last wave or not, and if you don't, you've pretty much lost. However, one level I will give kudos to is the boss fights, because it isn't ridiculously easy and needs a good strategy, but if you've got it, then you've got yourself a beatdown in your favour. Or just spam lightning reed plant food. Overall, a very balanced world in terms of difficulty, and a very entertaining world as a whole. The second best world goes to Frostbite Caves. This one will probably be debated a little bit, as a lot of people seem to find this world either annoying or boring. And maybe I have an affinity for snow-themed arenas, given how high I ranked Frosty Creek on my Garden Warfare 2 maps list. Although I don't really rate Mount Wario or Mario Kart 8. Sorry Mount Wario fans, I'm just not a fan. One reason I do really like this world is because of its mild difficulty, which was especially refreshing given it came after Big Wave Beach, and it rekindled my interest for the game after nearly giving up. So it has a place in my heart. The blizzards are fairly easy to manage too because Fire Pea Shooter exists. And Hot Potato is a pretty reliable tool, and they're even generous enough to let you use it in last stand levels, despite the plant being free. The slider tile gimmick was also pretty entertaining, as it allowed for lots of wacky strategies you never think of otherwise, and the pre-placed plants also add to the fun, including an Endless. However, Endless is actually one of my few issues with the world, given just like Greatest Hits with the hairy Gargs, they love tossing in packs of weasels in the Icebound battleground. I think my other very mild complaint is that the BGM isn't the best, in fact it's probably the worst one, but as far as gameplay, zombies and obtained plants go, it's a great world. And for the best world in the game, I'm going with Pirate Seas. This is another one where nostalgia kind of factors in, given the memories I have of playing it all the time in 2014, trying to get past that first level with flowers, which thankfully has been simplified now so it's actually possible to do without power-ups. Besides the flowers, the objectives are easily the most fun, given it's just basically an extra task for you to do rather than something you have to watch out for. I.e. produce an amount of sun or defeat a number of zombies in a set amount of time. The overall theme is great, because who doesn't love pirates? Amber Heard maybe. The zombies are cool, consisting of drunken bucklers who sometimes miss their swing, zombies held upside down who are a step away from paralysis, a guy pushing around a barrel of whiskey, a cannon that sprays imps all over the place, and a prototype of Captain Deadbeard. The cannon's away Brainbuster was great, and it was also an ideal coin farming method back in the day. Also, possibly the best thing about the world, it has the most obtainable plants. Sure, 2 of them are pretty trashy, but the rest are pretty good, especially the one at the end, the one and only Cherry Bomb. So you basically have a nuke to explode detonate hordes of zombies from that point forward. Overall, this is definitely the most consistently entertaining world to play, so it's getting the #1 spot. Thanks for watching, how would you rank the worlds? Let me know in the comments, leave a like on the video, subscribe if you're new. I'm GMVS, check out some more videos here.